MSNBC host Rachel Maddow took a humongous pay cut to stay on the failing network. What does it mean for her? What does it mean for her colleagues? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Rachel Maddow taking a $5 million per year pay cut to stay on MSNBC as, I guess, the star host. Listen, I had no idea how much money she made before I started doing this video. She was making $30 million a year to do her show. And by the way, that show is only one night a week on Mondays. That's what I read. I mean, maybe she does a podcast or something on the side. I don't know what she does to get $30 million. But one night a week for Rachel Maddow show, MS13 DNC, $30 million. Now, that'd be $25 million. And before I'll go any further into MSNBC possibly being sold and canceled and cut, before I go into that, I just want to say this. Rachel Maddow will talk about how Trump's a billionaire and he can't relate to you and all this and that. And the third, well, $30 million ain't nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's a pretty big amount of money. So when you say, oh, they're out of touch, they're living in the ivory tower, that's you. That's Rachel Maddow. That's you. You make that much money, and I'm sure you get a bunch of perks and other things that are not included in the $30 million. You live life like the majority of people on this earth would never live. So if anybody's out of touch, you might want to look in the mirror, Rachel Maddow. You guys are out of touch. A guy like Trump, although he's a multimillionaire, billionaire, whatever, is more in touch with us than y'all. That's just the reality. Now, before I go any further, we have an article and a video. First things first, you see this right here. What's this? This is the Independent. Shout out to the Independent. Rachel Maddow reportedly takes hefty pay cut amid MSNBC uncertainty. TV host reported pay cut comes after the network saw a significant dip in ratings following Donald Trump's election win. Now, this is something I want to talk about while I'm right here. Why did the ratings dip so much? They're talking about like a 40% dip in the ratings because Trump won. That's a big dip. What that tells me is you guys fed your audience a bunch of lies, misinformation, things that y'all knew wasn't true, but they didn't. You fed them all this, all to have your candidate, your person, Kamala Harris, who, by the way, has not been heard from since. As soon as she lost, it was over. And I think she was pretty much relieved, like, thank goodness, I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to get up out the bed at 8 a.m. like a regular person. I could stay in bed all day long and I could be drinking my wine. I'm chilling. I don't want all this scrutiny. I don't want all this work. She's happy not running for president anymore. Then they were trying to get her to be on the Supreme Court. I'm like, come on, like, what are we doing? But I digress. The point is you guys fed your audience so much misinformation, so many lies that when the lies were exposed, what was like, okay, now I'm out. I don't want to deal with it. I'm going to just not even watch TV anymore. You guys did that to yourselves. Now, there's a little bit in this article. So she renegotiated a 5-year contract, and her typical $30 million annual salary is now down to $25 million, according to the Ankler. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit right here and get this ad and whatnot out the way, if it'll let me. All right. So it's a difficult time and they needed to keep her. No one else can do what she does. You can't build a brand like it overnight, one executive told the publication of the network's decision. These figures have not been confirmed. However, a network source told the Independent that the number was accurate or inaccurate, but declined to comment further. I've seen this same number be reported everywhere, and not just the Independent. It's all over media, left, right, whatever. So if it's not 25, it's probably like 24. You know how they do. 24 million. 500,000. It's not 25 million, whatever. Anyway, the left-leaning news channel has seen a drop in ratings after Donald Trump's election victory, with Nielsen ratings showing a 40% drop. Like I said, 40% drop compared to last year. That's a Daily Beast saying that. That's a super left-leaning website. Network producers are also having to figure out how to properly platform conservative voices on the only safe space for a liberal TV audience. You can't put conservative voices on an MS-13 DNC because you guys have already branded it as the I Hate Trump Network, I Hate Conservatives Network. So how are you going to brand it as a place for conservative voices? CNN is doing this a little bit with your, I forget my man's name. Was it Scott Jennings? I forget his name. You got some conservative guys on there a little bit, but not really. Nothing like a Fox or nothing like we would do on YouTube. Okay, but there's more to the article. I will link to it in the box. Let's get to something else here because MSNBC is in trouble. Rachel Maddow has a big brand that people like, I suppose. I guess they like Peyton Manning. I mean, Rachel Maddow talking to him about the news that's going on. So I guess that's going to be what they try to, they're going to try to use her show to keep the network afloat. If nothing else, you come from Rachel Maddow. But the network is still in trouble. And they're trying to sell this or repackage it or do something because if they do nothing, the network will fall. Regardless of whether they're paying Rachel Maddow $30 million, $25 million or whatever, it's going to fall if they don't figure something out. Let's watch.
How do you think this changes the landscape and what kinds of transactions, all of a sudden everybody's talking about M&A, do you think get born out of this?
Yeah, Andrew, I think that's really the key piece here. One of my sources very close to the situation said, this isn't the end, this is the beginning, indicating here that in spinning off these cable networks, what Comcast is doing with this new co or this spin co is they're putting it in a situation where it could make meaningful acquisitions of other.
So, okay, Comcast spinning off assets, cable channels included. They have E, Sci-Fi, Golf Network, USA, Oxygen, MSNBC, and CNBC. Now, out of all of these, I like CNBC. Okay, if they can keep that, then I'm good. The rest of this can actually go away. If all these channels went off the air, I wouldn't really miss it. Some of y'all might like the Golf Channel, but the rest of that stuff, I can do without. I mean, and again, I don't even watch television, so really you could get rid of everything and not be okay. But the main thing, CNBC, if I can watch clips from that, as I'm doing right now, as you see at the bottom right-hand corner, if I can watch clips from that, then I'm good. That can be digital only. They don't need to be on TV, in my humble opinion, but I digress.
Channels. I'm told by sources that we should expect there to be a lot of conversations about Warner Brothers Discovery, maybe looking to sell off some of its assets, the idea that some of those channels would fit well with this SpinCo. And then after that, maybe look at Stars, which is separating out from Lionsgate. That could be paired in here, AMC networks as well. So there are plenty of different cable networks that could be combined here. We could even see Paramount, which is going through its own management transition, sell some of those assets. But the question here is, what else does this company acquire? How do they try to squeeze out as much revenue as possible from these linear networks? And then what do they do with them from a digital perspective in terms of streaming? And then also, what do they do in terms of non-television revenues or non-TV or streaming revenues? Things like events, things like communities. You know, you have a network like Sci-Fi. Can they really build out that horror community around Sci-Fi? You know, it's interesting because Bravo is hosting these BravoCon events, and that's going to be part of Peacock. But I think we'll see more and more of those types of businesses out of this new SpinCo. All
right, so there we have it. So what do y'all think? Do y'all think they're going to be able to do it? You think there's going to be a CNBC meetup? What's happening right here as I close is that the mainstream media are trying to catch up to us, the online people. Now, I'm not saying me specifically in my channel. I'm talking about some of the big boys, you know, your Patrick Bet-David, Joe Rogan. They're trying to catch up to those guys. Okay, but I don't really see it happening because the main thing that Patrick Bet-David, Joe Rogan, all these people have, Candace Owens, one thing they have is they're authentic. They can connect to the people, and they began their channels. They began their brand by doing such. Your CNBC, MS-13, DNC, or whatever, it's just TV. You turn it on, it's on. It's really corporate. The environment, the employees, everything is the exact opposite of what we do online. So I don't really see how they make that connection work. But we'll see how it goes. I hope they fail because they deserve to fail. These networks that have been putting out misinformation, lies, and whatnot for years and years and years, they've damaged the American people. They've damaged society. They've damaged the world with their rhetoric, misinformation. They've done a lot. So they've done everything in their power to earn demise. It is what it is. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you like Rachel Maddow? Are you a fan of the show? Are you going to be sad if it goes off the air? How you feel about the salary cut from 30 to 25 million per year to do a show 1 night a week? Monday Night Rachel Maddow show. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I like that they are having problems. I like that they're faltering because they earned it. They earned it. I'm not just going to wish someone harm or wish them failure if they didn't earn it, and they most certainly did. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if the pay cuts are going to make a difference. We'll see if they can do the spin code, they can spin it off and combine networks and make revenue. We'll see. But what I'm looking at right here is the last cries of a dying industry. They've been dying for a very long time, but at one point they were the king of the hill. They were very, very high up at one point. No more. And they're not ever going to get back to that height because digital media, online influencers, real people have overtaken them. It is what it is. So we'll see how the whole thing plays out. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.